Hello everyone, and welcome to And Sleep. My name is Tom Milikatese. Today I have the pleasure of hosting clinical psychologist Dr. Sylvia Gindy. On this episode, we'll be discussing mental health and sleep. Welcome to the show, Dr. Gindy.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So as a psychologist, do sleep issues exacerbate the mental health concerns of your patients?
Yes, they absolutely do. What you'll find if we look at really common conditions that might present in my office could be depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. And interestingly enough, if you look at any of these conditions and you look at their symptom list, you're going to find insomnia as one of them. So if insomnia is a part of these conditions and it's left untreated, it's going to exacerbate any of those symptoms for people. It's going to make it harder for them to concentrate, harder for these folks to focus and be productive through the day. It's a really common thing that I hear patients complaining about, that when they're not getting sleep, it just leads to a host of concerns, like feeling more irritable and on edge, and it's just harder to get through the day. If we think about the media and a lot of athletes that are being more open about their mental health concerns, like Simone Biles, we're seeing that people are prioritizing their mental health because there's an increasing awareness around how mental health being left untreated can affect productivity and can affect one's ability to get tasks completed. So it's really important that folks are paying attention to how their sleep is affecting their day-to-day functioning and to be able to engage in self-care in order to get themselves feeling better.
What are some of the habits or some examples of habits that can make these conditions worse?
There's all kinds of things that can make depression, anxiety, and insomnia worse. We want to be mindful of exposure to electronics and how blue light can affect sleep. Also, not only does blue light disrupt the sleep process because it's getting in the way of melatonin production, but also thinking about the effect that scrolling through social media can have on our mental health, right? We're all guilty of spending lots of time on social media, and all of those things can not only make it harder for our sleep, but can also make depression and anxiety worse. We also want to be thinking about things that we're doing during the day that can make it harder for us to sleep, such as consuming high amounts of caffeine. Taking naps during the day can also get in the way of sleep, because what it does is it weakens our sleep drive. If we eat a snack before dinner, like Mom always lectured us not to do, what happens is we end up not being as hungry. So if we're taking naps during the day, that's also going to make it harder for us to sleep when the nighttime rolls around.
So putting aside the unhealthy habits, what are some of the healthy habits that we can implement right away?
Well, the good news is that there are a lot of healthy habits that people can start with right away to get their sleep better. First off, there are some behavioral strategies that folks can use. This is going to mean sticking with a consistent wake time. So getting up at the same time every day primes our body and gets our body in a really healthy rhythm for sleep. We also want to avoid sticking with a predetermined bedtime and instead allowing our body's sleepy signals, such as when our eyes become heavier, to give us the cue as to when to get into bed and when to go to sleep. So those are a couple of changes that people can make right off the bat. We also want to be mindful of caffeine intake and making sure that we're getting enough exercise during the day, because the research shows that this helps us get deeper, more restorative sleep. It's also very important to make sure that you're getting evaluated for any underlying medical conditions like sleep apnea that might be at play and that might be contributing to your insomnia. You can work with your sleep healthcare professional to ensure that you're using your CPAP or oral appliance therapy so that you're getting the best sleep outcomes possible.
Well, healthy habits are a good start, but what other resources are available?
So there are lots of great resources out there for getting better sleep. If you're ready to hit the ground running, then you can look for a sleep healthcare professional who offers CBTI. There is a directory with the Society of Behavioral Sleep Medicine where it has a list of providers, and you can find this by visiting behavioralsleep.org. If you're interested in just learning more about your sleep and tracking it and identifying any sleep patterns you might have, then there's this free app in the App Store called CBTI Coach, where you can begin tracking your sleep and start understanding it better.
Great, thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, that concludes this episode of And Sleep with Dr. Gindi. We encourage you to explore the rest of the episodes and visit wholeu.com to learn more about the latest in sleep breathing disorders. The sleep professionals in this video series teamed up with WholeU to spread healthy sleep education across America and were paid for their appearances.